damn excited.
We are so excited to be joining you guys tonight.
Oh!
Well, how you doing, man? Patrick.
Will, Sterling.
Yeah.
Super Bowl champion, two-time Pro Bowler, and Trent Green. Trent Green, how you doing?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
And he picked it up! He picked it up! He's gonna score!
And we'll see you next week. But until then, as always, go Chiefs.
Welcome into the Arrowhead Addict podcast on this Tuesday. Sterling Holmes, Josh Briscoe. Follow him on the X at JB Briscoe. Myself at Holmes KC. Briscoe, lovely lettuce. Lettuce is flowing. The Olympics hockey jersey is strong.
Appreciate that.
Quite frankly, I feel like you stole my whole bleeping flow.
Look, the flow. I have not known you with hair this long. So like this is for me. This is old school. Old stool. Oh, there we go. That's bad. That sounds gross. This is old school stew in a way that I don't feel like that's any ground free. I think your patent has expired on the long hair. You know that I have a hard time going standalone mustache because I don't want to infringe on your territory. But Sterling, it is a beautiful day. I don't think it probably came through right at the beginning, but right as our intro ended, the only thing I heard in a second of silence was these bird calls happening just outside my open window. It feels like spring, and frankly, we've had enough news that it feels kind of like we're actually like into the next NFL offseason. So it's been a good week so far. It's only Tuesday, so we still have some time to screw it up. But right now, I'm happy to be here, flowing alongside you. Look, if you want to exchange hair at some point, you want to go let us down, and I'll go high and tight again. I'm willing to negotiate that. I want the mustache in the trade, though.
It's just not Tuesday. It's Tuesday. I'd had on my shoulder for a while. I did in COVID, too. I busted in COVID. I was like, bleep it. Let's rock it. I loved it. It was about the same length as you, like right down to the tops of your shoulders. It was great. Lovely lettuce. I might have to bring it back at some point. The issue is it's just a nightmare for upkeep. And you have to, for me, I have to like wear a hat. And I don't want to wear a hat all the time. But it looks lovely with a hat, with a Marlboro Red sticking out your mouth, a mustache. I look like a country music singer from like 1983. But when I don't wear a hat, I look like, and with the mustache, I look like a guy who probably shouldn't be around like middle schools. So in
fairness, you shouldn't at this point. Like, you don't have a middle school aged kid. You shouldn't be like, if you're a teacher or whatever, it'd be fine. I wouldn't say that you should be kept away from middle schools. That's not true. Sterling, great with kids. I'm sure, great vibes.
I'm Uncle Stu.
Uncle Stu. I wouldn't let Uncle Stu babysit even my own dogs, I don't think, but I'd let you babysit someone else's kids.
That kid's going to have their first beer, baby.
That's kind of the thing, though, is make sure that Uncle Stu is at an age where, like, you're not going to give him an IPA, but, like, your
Busch
infant
Light
might get Busch Light in a bottle, and that might just be how it goes.
Well, work your way up to Arrowhead Lager. You'll work your way up, yeah.
Yeah, that's when you hit, like, a big milestone, like your 13th birthday.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm a responsible guy. I mean, but I just, what's in my fridge? In my fridge, I have pineapple juice, beer, and bacon. What more do you need? Like, sorry, the kid's going to grow up and with high cholesterol and be a badass. I don't know what more you want from me.
High cholesterol, low standards, good time at Uncle Stu's.
Yeah, come on. It's easy. It's easy. I can totally do this. I'm the
now,
funkle.
You with the mustache and the tight top there, the lettuce is coiffed as ever. That's a guy who you puts on a suit and interviews 100,000 people on radio. That's a totally different guy.
A totally different dude. Responsible man. A fun, responsible man.
Maybe more afraid to leave a child around you, though. Just like, feels like you have, I don't know, different, the energy changes.
Huh. All right. This is exactly how we knew the show was going to start.
It usually does. We usually, it's almost draft season. We give each other scouting reports on how the other person would be as a babysitter. Welcome to the show. It's February.
Fun news, which is franchise tag that comes out today, starts today. So players can now be franchise tagged. It sounds like Seattle is not going to franchise tag Kenneth Walker. So if that's a name that intrigues you, well, that's probably pretty good news. Unless that just means Seattle's going to give him a large contract and they're not going to even make that a possibility. But it did come out that they're not planning on using the tag on Kenneth Walker. I do think personally Breece Hall, this is my thoughts, I think Breece Hall probably gets franchise tagged. If I was a betting man. Like if you say who's one player that gets franchise tagged this year, Sterling, I think Breece Hall might be the guy. And because the Jets are dumb. Number 3, I think Etienne would be an intriguing name. That's probably now the top of the realistic list for me. Because again, I think Walker might be getting a large contract to go back. Who knows? I think Breece Hall might get the tag, which then who's number 3? I think Etienne, who could be number 1 in a lot of people's eyes. 13 touchdowns last year overall, over 1,100 yards on the ground. The year prior, it was the Tank Bigsby show. Then they draft Bajal Tootin, and then they go, wait a minute, we forgot. Etienne's actually really good. What if we just use the guy who was good to begin with? And now he's a free agent. So that's where they are at with Etienne. I think the Chiefs should take a good hard look at him.
I agree with that. And look, just rule of thumb, I would say if you're someone who wants the Chiefs to have a decent chance to get a decent deal in the free agent market, you want as many of these running backs to hit the market as possible. I don't think Kenneth Walker, this is so funny because I feel like right before the playoff run, I was like, man, I really like Kenneth Walker, and I feel like he's gotten kind of overshadowed. And then he goes on to be Super Bowl MVP, and now suddenly everything I say here is like, again, overshadowed by what just happened. But yeah. I really liked Kenneth Walker in a way that kind of felt like he was being largely undervalued literally 1 month ago. And now it seems like he's probably going to be the guy that kind of breaks the market this offseason. Not like all-time numbers, but just a guy that's very easy to tell the story of, hey, he was just the Super Bowl MVP, and now he's going to be the leading rusher for your Washington Commanders. You know, I don't know, probably not, but we'll see. So I could see someone spending the money on Walker if he does, in fact, hit the market. I could see Seattle talking themselves into keeping the band together. Either way, he's not the pass-catching, pass-protecting threat that I think the Chiefs would want to spend top-tier money on. I think Breece Hall would be that guy, reportedly interested at the trade deadline. I do think it makes sense for the Jets to tag him because if you wouldn't have traded Breece Hall for a 4th, but would have for a 3rd at the deadline this year, if you get that offer again next season at the deadline, you move him. You go, okay, well, we kept him for 8 more games, and now we're still the Jets, so we'll go ahead and send him somewhere for a 4th, right?
Sure.
So I think you want as many of those guys to hit the market as possible, but I agree. I think we're on the same page where I think Etienne is the guy who makes perhaps the most sense in a cost and payoff equation, specifically for this Chiefs roster. But I'm really curious to see how it unfolds because I could really see them going any number of directions here. I could see them making it, let's say Breece Hall doesn't get tagged. I could see them making Breece Hall a very highly paid number 1 running back. I could see them trying to just kind of cobble some stuff together. I could see them being at a state at the draft where we're going, holy smokes, maybe they are really betting on Jeremiah Love because right now it's Kareem Hunt, Brashard Smith, and pick a guy from the middle of the pack of this free agent class. And then you have your, maybe it's Tyler Algier, who might be kind of for me in like a reasonable investment, but not one that would be super exciting. My little like pet theory on Algier is just that we see him in a really good running offense as the guy that opposing defenses aren't built to stop, and that maybe he won't be able to have that same production in a very different offense, but that's, several steps down the road. Right now, you just want those guys to hit the market, and so the cost overall, you have more options.
What's funny is I think the Chiefs thought, and I could be wrong here, I think the Chiefs thought that they had their version of what Seattle had. Because Pacheco would have been the Kenneth Walker, not a pass catcher, but their explosive runner. And then Charbonnet would have been Kareem Hunt, a.k.a. the short yardage back who pass pro and can catch the ball out of the backfield. The issue is Kareem Hunt's just a lot older, and that Pacheco just simply is not Kenneth Walker, right? There was a massive amount of difference there. But I think that was the thought process. And so I think you could find yourself in free agency talking about, could you go after a Tyler Algier and as I see from Larry, Kenneth Gainwell? Get the different Kenneth. You could talk yourself into something along those lines.
J.K. Dobbins, like maybe you try that reclamation project again.
But see, here's the thing. And by the way, I see all this in the chat. We will get to Tyreek Hill. We're going to get to that the second half of this show. We're going to talk pretty in depth about Tyreek because I think we might be on opposite sides, and I think it could be a little bit fun. But like I think Algier and Kenneth Walker as a combo could be intriguing. Kenneth Walker had a really nice year, but he's not the bell cow. Gainwell. Sorry, what'd I say?
Walker.
No, I was just combining everyone.
You just combined Kenneth, and then I got confused. I thought the listener might be confused. We're talking about Kenneth Gainwell, the pending free agent running back from the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Kenneth Gainwell is a great pass catcher. A good short yardage back, too, by the way. I don't know what you do between him and Tyler Algier, though. Like, there's a little bit of overlap there for short yardage situations. And then that just basically fixes your Kareem Hunt situation if you choose to move on. That's not necessarily impacting the first and second down explosion. So I see from Larry, how about Rico Dowdle? I have two names that I'm actually semi-out on. And Rico Dowdle's one of them. I think you're buying high on Rico Dowdle. I think this is a buy high moment for Rico Dowdle. I also think the other name that I would kind of be out on.
Is it Rachaad White?
Javonte Williams.
Okay. I was between the two of them. They're both going to get real money, I think.
Because Javonte Williams, I think, is getting like real money, like 7 to 8 to 9 million AAV. Spot Track has him at 7.5-ish.
Rachaad White's also at 7.5 on Spot Track.
I don't see Rachaad getting that personally. I do see Javonte getting that. And that's where I'm like, I think that's too much for a guy who was in Dallas, was like the guy, that was the focus, and he's done it for 1 year. It feels like, contract year. Also, it's the Cowboys and all. It just, to me, that's the buy high side of Javonte Williams. So for me, two guys I'm a little bit out on is Rico and Javonte because I think you're buying high. I think Rachaad White actually could make a little bit of sense. Point remains, even of all the names we brought up, they're all improvements over the current running back room that is here in Kansas City. So it's not going to be me being pissed one way or the other unless they spend an obscene amount of money on a guy. But overall, even the guys I'd be quote-unquote disappointed with are still improvements over what currently was there last year.
The part of it that's interesting for me and kind of just like the general philosophical side, you and I have long been in lockstep in terms of what you do and don't want to invest in the running back position. And then obviously last year, all of the coin flips came up tails in terms of all the bets the Chiefs made on Pacheco returning to form, Rashard Smith taking a step, maybe being able to Kareem Hunt really didn't fail at anything. He just a weirdly built room that way. Elijah Mitchell was like, three aces in a row, three twos in a row. I don't know what game I'm playing now. Here's the thing about the free agent running back.
That's Deuce's wild.
I know.
Amazing. Wow.
I know. I went from coin flips. I was like, well, tails isn't always bad. It's about which one you call.
7-2 offsuit.
They swung and missed at pretty much every spot in the running backfield in terms of the bigger picture there. Here's the thing that I'm like, and there's a comment about like, if they bring back Pacheco, I'm going to go crazy. Here's the thing to keep in mind here, folks. The Spot Track page for running back contracts, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th highest expected value is Isaiah Pacheco.
Can we all agree that that's wrong?
I think that's probably wrong, but all of the contracts, I think these are all PFF projections that Spot Track has here. So they're all coming from the same place. So if maybe Pacheco is being overvalued by $2 million here, that still brings him down to J.K. Dobbins, who I mentioned earlier. And I think that's probably the more correct range of like, hey, take a shot on someone who's achieved at a pretty high level, but not recently, right? The scary thing is that I don't love the middle class of this running back free agent class. I like Breece Hall. I like Etienne. And then it's a bunch of those guys in the middle that would be kind of cobbling together, back to this earlier comment I saw come by. I don't remember who it was about, but it was, well, he's not a RB1. There are only 2 guys on this list who are definitively RB1s, being Breece Hall and Kenneth Walker. Kenneth Walker was sharing a really pretty evenly split backfield before Charbonnet got hurt. It's very hard to find anyone who's a standalone RB1 in the modern NFL at all now. There are probably like 5 of those guys, period.
Yeah.
So you have to figure out what you want to actually pay for. The thing for me on Breece Hall, if he hits the market and you can get him for $10 million AAV over the next couple of years, if you spend $10 million on a running back, that's a lot to invest in a running back. But do you know what that buys you at defensive end? It buys you Mike Dana. It buys you Drew Tranquil at linebacker. Now, again, those are both guys who are going to get moved on kind of that ballpark of salary numbers. But Mike Dana's going to get cut because his cap at this year is $11 million. Last year, I think it was like 8 or 9. If you're talking about Breece Hall at $8 or $9 million, I am a fringe, or I'm at least a child of the running backs don't matter movement, right? Like I think there's a lot of truth within that has been extrapolated to enormous degrees over the years. But if you said, hey, who do you want on your roster next year, Breece Hall or Mike Dana? I'm taking Breece Hall at that cash number. It's also why, for me, I'm probably drafting the best available defensive player before I'm drafting Jeremiah Love, probably drafting a wide receiver before I'm drafting Jeremiah Love, because that number 9 overall pick, it's all the same for anybody. Regardless of what position you take, it's costing you number 9 overall. You can get the best running back free agent for $12 million. You cannot get the best free agent edge will probably be $30 million to Trey Hendrickson, over age 30, a player that I don't think the Chiefs are interested in for a variety of reasons. So that's kind of philosophically where I am. I'm willing to pay a running back in free agency more than I'm willing to draft one, even the best one in the draft, maybe the best player in the draft at number 9.
That is exactly where I'm at, and I hate that we agree. Because
we agree on running back stuff all the time.
Well, because I think I looked up today, it was around $32 million is the 4-year contract for the first round at number 9. That's about $8 million a year. It's just the value's not there. Again, my point would be if it's Jeremiah Love or hypothetically, the 17th best edge. Well, then yes, you would take Jeremiah Love, but that's not the situation I think that the Chiefs will find themselves in. By the way, that'd be a huge reach if that were the case. That would be absurd. I'd have way more questions if that was FAU. Somehow they redrafted FAU. He's young enough.
I was going to make that joke, actually, yeah.
But so that's where I'm at. I did a whole entire hour-and-a-half long segment today, basically, in regards to this is why you draft an edge or a premium position at number 9 versus a running back. Even safety makes more sense when you look at what Brian Cook is receiving. You would say, well, even safety, the value there makes more sense than running back. It's just the nature of the business. Fair or not, wouldn't you rather spend $12 million on, let's say, Breece Hall or Etienne? Which I think $12 million for Etienne's probably pretty high. You're probably getting Etienne right around the Jeremiah Love number, and I would take the sure thing. Sure thing's obviously a strong word. I would take the more likely outcome because we've seen him do it in the NFL than just the potential of Jeremiah Love. That's my 2 cents.
No pun intended. I love that as a thought exercise. Let's say Travis Etienne's contract ends up being the contract that Jeremiah Love would get at number 9 overall. Would you rather, Chiefs fans, answer this for me. Really think about it and answer this for me. Would you rather have Travis Etienne and Ruben Bain or Jeremiah Love? When you frame it like that, yes. I just don't think would you rather have your choice of Breece Hall, Kenneth Walker, maybe it's in the Rashad White space, but again, like Travis Etienne
well, in fairness, you would also have to have a $10 million edge too. So it'd basically be Mike Dana and Jeremiah Love, or
not in terms of what it costs you to address the position. Like true that like you're going to have but you're going to have another defensive end there regardless. I'm saying if you want to invest in running back, if you're thinking about it that way, there is not part of the advantage of the 10. Right, I guess that's true. So yeah, I guess you can have Mike Dana, like it's because you are paying that money to the 9th pick at edge, but it is such a obvious huge value swing. So there you go. Yeah, that you're right though. We should include an edge in there. Would you rather have Jeremiah Love and Mike Dana or Breece Hall and Ruben Bain or David Bailey or Caleb Downs for that matter?
Yeah.
And when it framed like that, as much as Jeremiah Love seems like an excellent football player, framed like that, it's relatively easy for me.
2 edges I want to keep throw out there, just Kwity Paye and Boye Mafe. I think both those guys are very intriguing. I think Kwity Paye's Spotrac number is way too high. I don't think he's going to be in that market. It was around $19 million a year. I think seemed a little high for me. Boye Mafe, I believe, was around 12 to 13. I think both are potential. Boye Mafe fell out of favor in Seattle because they had so many great players on the defensive line. They were just so talented. He had 2 sacks last year. Kwity Paye had 5, but he's also very good in the run game. Kwity Paye has, I believe, 2 8+ sack seasons as well. I know people might not like to hear it, but Kwity Paye reminds me a lot of Karlaftis to an extent, of a very good run setter, a guy who's going to get you about 8 to 9 sacks a year, but he's consistent, he's good, he's young. He's a huge upgrade over Menahu and Mike Dan. I know people won't like to hear that. Oh, who's he remind you of? Well, he's a really good defensive end too, right? But you're not paying the money for a top-end defensive end. One, you could get Kwity Paye, Karlaftis, and still draft an edge at 9, and you'd be thrilled with your defensive line room at that point. So that's where I'm at right here. I do want to start getting into the Tyreek Hill conversation, since I think we've done a pretty decent job of why we don't dislike Jeremiah Love, the player, but why we don't think that's the right financial, fiscally responsible move at 9. It's like buying a jet ski for $50,000 or buying a nice car for $50,000. Yeah, the jet ski's bleeping awesome, but the car is going to be way more versatile and make way more sense in the long run.
And your toilet is broken and the shower doesn't work. You're like, I could remodel the bathroom or get a jet ski.
Yeah.
Or you can buy a used jet ski for significantly less that still gets you pretty far, and you can still remodel the bathroom.
So this is a good lead-in, and this is from Raymond Chandler. I appreciate the super chat, Raymond. Always good when you're here. Always appreciate you. This is a good lead-in to the Tyreek Hill conversation we're going to have. It says, from a purely emotional point of view, go with the minced-up clip of the Wasp clip, then imagine Hill, Kelsey, Mahomes holding up the Super Bowl trophy this year. At least Hill can keep his feet in bounds. So, I said this, and I think I'm in the... Thank you, Raymond, by the way, because this is the exact same thought that I had. This is the one that I got mean tweets about today on radio. And I don't blame the people, by the way. I'm also on your side. I've also said this is the emotional part of me. But if you're telling me, let's just say hypothetically, we don't know that's to be the case or not, but it does feel like Kelsey's starting more or less to feel like he might be coming back. Like it went from like he's gone to, hey, he might be actually coming back. If Hill puts him to the he's for sure coming back side of things, if he's like, yeah, let's do this. This is going to be fun. Let's run it back. It's like the old days. I like that. I love that. Now, contract's going to have obviously play a factor. And let's be real, Tyreek Hill needs one more surgery. He's not going to be ready, I would have to imagine, by, week 8. Like, we're not talking he's ready week 1. But, and this is where I got a lot of flack, and I understand this is emotional. If there was ever a team and a group of players who deserved the right to run it for one more year, it might be these guys. It might be Travis with Tyreek, with Patrick, with Andy. And I've also said, I know that sounds really silly. I know that's not how you really build for the future. I get that. But I've also pointed out, Tyreek might be one of the hardest workers in regards to perfecting his craft. You're telling me, Rasheed, I know we're going to get jokes and comments about off the field stuff. I know that's coming. I get that. But strictly on the field things, you're telling me Rasheed Rice or Xavier Worthy or Jalen Rose can't learn from that? A guy who was a 5th rounder, a returner, who grew into a top 3 at one point, top 3, top 2 wide receiver in the entire NFL? You're telling me there's not a work ethic there, or at least something that those young guys can gain from him? Again, if his current contract is going to be 2 for $50, well, yeah, no bleep, you're not doing that. If it's a reasonable contract, I said, and this is probably too high still, I said like 2 for $30, where the first year is basically $10 million, the second year is $20 million. And it's not going to be like all guaranteed, but that's just how it would break down. Would you at least be interested in that? I think I would. And again, I get I'm going to be in the minority, and I get people are going to say, oh, Sterling really wants Tyreek Hill back. No, I'm saying I think there should at least be exploratory conversations about it.
Here's what I'll say. I am on some level interested And we're obviously having this conversation today because he got cut yesterday and the Dolphins are cleaning their cap space and everything. So that's why we're having this conversation right now. I would rather have this conversation when he's running. And
Sure.
right now he's not. Because there is another, apparently, as he said, an LCL surgery still to come. I think he might have inferred at some point that he was looking at like midseason, which you also mentioned. I'll say right now, just to like have a called shot, just pure vibe check, I feel like he's going to sign with the Ravens in week 10. Like, I think that's probably what actually happens, is that this is a recovery process that he tweets about that's all over his Instagram. It is about the comeback. And then in week 8 or week 10 or week 12, he's ready to get involved in a playoff push and he signs somewhere and he plays really well for 6 games. And then next offseason, you have another chance to get one more payday. Kind of the the Odell Beckham Jr.
That was the exact name I was gonna bring up. That's a good call.
That's where I think he kind of ends up probably taking this at this stage in his career. The other option, though, if he doesn't want to go that way, the other option would be, let's make it a reunion in Kansas City. So then the question becomes, what does he want? What does he need to make that reunion make sense to him? And then what are the Chiefs bringing him back for?
Correct.
Seth Kaiser, our friend, just did a new piece over in the Chief of the North newsletter, and there's one part of it that is kind of fascinating, which is that before the injury last year, he looked like Tyreek Hill. He didn't look like 31-year-old Tyreek. He looked like Tyreek Hill in a way that's kind of amazing. The problem is that we don't know what Tyreek Hill with a massive knee injury and surgeries and recovery, we don't know what that guy looks like. And so I do kind of like the idea of the Mahomes, Kelsey, Hill one last ride, but I don't know if those guys are going to be available at the same time. We don't know if Mahomes is going to be there in week 1. We don't know if Tyreek Hill is going to be ready to play anytime in the first half of the season. And then maybe you get 36-year-old Travis Kelsey, who, seems to outrun injuries his entire career. Now he's in his age 36 season, right when Tyreek Hill's coming back into the offense. I think that if you told me that Xavier Worthy got hurt early in the season, or Rashee Rice has some other dumb thing that ends up pulling him out of availability, and then they call Tyreek Hill before the Ravens do in week 8, then yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. And if they, if they think he can return to form, I just don't think he can sign anywhere until we've seen him cut. And it seems like he could be months away from that. So the other part is that if they do add him, and if it is a $10, $15 million kind of cap hit, I'm probably out because I don't want that to be a move that comes at the exclusion of a real investment in the position long-term. I don't feel great about the wide receiver room long-term. Rashee Rice has given you no real reason that you can just fully trust him to be there for you. Xavier Worthy, I do think, still has better football ahead of him, but the questions so far have remained questions. Jalen Royals barely played.
Yeah.
And those are your young guys on rookie contracts. So I think they should be very, very, very much considering a wide receiver at 9 overall. If drafting Tyreek Hill if signing Tyreek Hill makes them second guess that at all, it's a bad decision. And I don't necessarily think that it would. Now, if they bring back Tyreek Hill at the expense of Romeo Doubs, I think that's a mistake as well. If he really wants to be back in Kansas City and wants to lock in where he's going to be for a couple of years and wants to play games financially, I'm open again. But if it's at the expense of a player who's ready to contribute right away, I just don't think you can do that in this time of real turnover.
Yeah, I would completely agree with that, and I think that's a very, very, very fair point. By the way, this might be one of my favorite comments of all time from Think Through Tech. Josh and Sterling need their own podcast with cameos of Matt Connor doing singing segments, and yes, the answer is yes.
Yeah.
We do need that.
I'm in.
We do need that.
Karaoke with Connor.
The final thing in regard to this, I guess not even the final thing, just one aspect of this, I've pushed back when people have said, and I can't believe I'm on this side, because I was like, Tyreek Hill, I'm glad they moved on so they could do these draft. Like, I don't want to say like thrilled, but it made sense to me. And I was on the minority side of that, and it worked. People were pissed, and I said, I think this is going to work. And it did.
did.
So now it's weird that I'm also on the side of the small segments. Like, yeah, I'd be intrigued about bringing him back.
Because context matters and cost matters.
Yeah. I think to me, he's so much more than just a speed guy. And everyone keeps saying, well, once his speed goes, he's done. And I don't think so. His leverage, his understanding of body control and how to manipulate defenses, I think are so high level.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Like Xavier Worthy's really fast. Darius Haywood-Bay is really fast. John Ross is really fast. But it doesn't matter if you don't know how to use it. Travis Kelce's not the fastest dude in the world, and he's still getting open at his age because he understands leverage and how to use his body. Now, again, different sizes, different positions. I just think, to me, yeah, he's not going to be a 1,700-yard wide receiver guy, but you don't need him to be. That's not what you're bringing him in to be. You're bringing him in to be it depends, maybe on the cusp of 1,000. Like, again, there are expectations, and that's why I feel like there's so much nuance that anytime I say, yeah, I'd be intrigued, people jump to, have you seen his knee? How much money is he going to get? What? He's all like, no, I'm taking all of this into account here. I'm not saying you go out and do it right now, but like, I think some real exploratory discussion should be had. From all accounts, from his Twitter account, seems like he would like to be back in Kansas City. Well, if you'd like to be back in Kansas City, you'd have to imagine, hey, they don't have a lot of cap space. So if you want to be here that bad, if you want to play with your guys and your friends again, well, you're going to have to be making a lot less money than you've probably made since your rookie contract. These are all just, yeah, and as Jessica Roy Collins has agreed, Hill can be a great possession wide receiver like Edelman. Yeah, you tell me Tyreek Hill can be put in the slot and just absolutely work there like Keenan Allen? Yeah, he could totally do that. I don't know, man. I think he was always a good route runner. I thought he had great football IQ. It's just weird for me going from the guy that was okay with the trade when it happened to now being the guy okay that they should have legit conversations. Again, we don't know where he's at. We know there's going to be a surgery. We know it might be week 9. I just think it should be at least a conversation.
No, I agree with that. I don't, and frankly, I don't know if there's anything there that I disagree with. I think that angle on like what he can be as his game ages, I think remains. I think that's a really good point. I would be much more excited about this conversation, even more excited about arguing on this conversation one way or another, if the last time we saw him wasn't with a gruesome knee injury that still isn't back from. He's still not back from yet. So that's why I know that this is like extremely unhelpful in an actual like give a take, have a take conversation. But I would be open and interested in the details once we know that he's ready to physically play football again. In the meantime, it's just so difficult to imagine what that contract would look like, what his timeline will be, and frankly, like what other teams might offer. The reason that I have kind of penciled in like the Ravens in week 10 kind of thing is it just feels like they always have $12 million to give to a receiver at that point in the year. I mean, a little burst. The offense isn't quite ready yet. Yeah, here's let's just spin the wheel. Which veteran receiver? Oh, Hollywood Brown, come on back. Like there's always kind of that feeling partway through where there's like a need for a mercenary receiver who gets a lot of hype somewhere. I feel like Tyreek probably, I can't imagine the Chiefs giving him guaranteed money before his next knee surgery, right?
No.
And maybe, the timeline of that still might be they couldn't sign. Well, actually, they could sign him today because he was released.
He's one of the few guys who can sign now. Most have to wait until March 13th or something along those lines.
It's mid-March. Yeah, it's right around there when the league year opens. I think the 13th might be right. I just can't imagine them giving him money until they know what he's physically capable of. And by the time we all know what he's physically capable of, it'd be very, very easy for the Buffalo Bills to say, hey, Tyreek, I know the Chiefs are going to say you could come finish this year out here for $5 million with them. Why don't you come here for 15? And he might instantly be their best wide receiver. Like that is still a possibility. There's also a chance that he can't play in 2026. So it's so volatile that I do think it's interesting and I do think he's worth talking about, but it's just the injury is such a frustrating factor because otherwise if he was a pure cap casualty, this would be a lot of fun and I think the odds are that he would be back.
Yeah. Raymond Sterling can send you a mic for that Roadcaster mic. LOL. Appreciate that. A stand. Yeah. I have a stand. It's upstairs, which does me no good as I'm in my basement right now doing this. Yeah. I have a stand, but it's not a great stand. And the Roadcaster mic is very heavy. It's a thick B. This thing is a sturdy mic. And so it knocks the thing down, the stand, which no one cares about, but it brings the stand down. And so when I do that, well, then I'm just craning my neck. And so then I'm really just, do I hurt my neck or do I just try and get buff by holding the mic? And so I'm trying to get buff by holding the mic.
It's kind of nice also. Like I usually find myself holding something while talking, and I talk with my hands quite a. Sometimes you can't see where my hands are, but like often in the morning, I'll have a nice cup of coffee. I love holding the cup of coffee, a little cup of Joe, and gesticulating around with one hand and pointing my coffee cup with the other. But I'm hands free because I've got this boom mic arm, which I can send you an Amazon link if you want. It is very helpful.
Well, I have I think that exact same stand. It's just the Roadcaster mic is too handy. It's too heavy. It's just it's a sturdy B.
It's still there is something about just holding the microphone that I do think is maybe. Have you considered just getting a music mic stand like with a big heavy bass, and you can really get your like rock star on?
You know what's funny?
Give and takes like Steven Tyler, tie a scarf up there.
Hey, pontificate for a second now.
Yes, I can't wait. Okay, so Sterling's going to go do that while I pontificate. We talked about running backs and receiver. Let me do the receiver thing again, okay? So here's what I'll pontificate about. I do think you're in a position where the long term is so unknown that it's more important to be looking long term, almost even more so than short term. Rashee Rice is probably going to play good football in 2026. Xavier Worthy, I do think, is going to be better. But it's very hard to really be excited about what those guys are going to be for the total long haul. So ultimately, that's where some of my concern comes from, and why even as I think the defensive end is probably the place to go at 9. Let's say Ruben Bain goes. Maybe they don't love David Bailey. You get your choice of those top 3 receivers. I'd love for one of those top 3 receivers to be a long-term answer and kind of reset that clock. And with the first-round pick, got the 5th-year option as well.
So
we got a mic stand.
We have the mic stand. The issue is my mic's too big for the stand. That's what she said.
I love that you didn't quite get through it fully confidently. That made it funnier.
Yeah, this it's I have the different mic. So we have the stand.
But that
so it's
mic
not going to work.
You have a good microphone. You just need to get an extra attachment.
I mean, I don't know what to tell you. Everything I do, my mic's too heavy and big. It's just I mean, sorry, it's just.
Look, if it was easy, everybody would do it.
If everyone, it's not my fault. I was born with this.
Exactly.
So I have the mic stand. I have multiple options, and none work. So, welcome to my life.
I like this angle though. This does give us a real kind of like. It's real intimate, and also maybe like you're trying to get out like a last message, like a final Chiefs take before you close the bunker.
Yeah, this is guys. I'm terrified.
Jeremiah Love's agent is at my door right now.
He's at my door. Tyreek Hill is here, and he goes, I need to know, Sterling, are they signing me or not? What are they doing?
Tyreek, you have way better assets to ask than me.
Yeah.
In fairness, Sterling, this might be the one time in your life you could outrun Tyreek Hill.
I still think I have my broken ankle. I think he still got me.
Foot's still broken. Never mind.
We're just limping around. Me and him. It's just we look like
Dave. One of those carts with the foot up behind you, just scooting around like you're trying to you're on an old school like kids on a scooter.
We both look like Dave Portnoy. We still somehow beat Dave Portnoy though. Somehow we saw him run. I was like, dude, that guy. I think I could
run backwards and beat Dave Portnoy and Darren Ravel in a relay.
Yeah, no one cares. But now it's February 17th, and we talked what we wanted to talk about. I was at IKEA the other day, and this lady dropped her receipt, and it's just gusting in the wind. And I'm trying to sprint after it to try to help this lady out, and I can't get there. I'm like, I got a fractured ankle. It hurts so bad. And I'm like, she's in great shape. She was in incredible shape. She's clearly a runner.
Grandma, you're fit.
No, she's like 30. She's my age. And I'm like, why am I sprinting after this with a broken ankle? All of a sudden, my mom out of nowhere starts sprinting after it, nails it, gets it, and brings it back. It was an incredible performance.
Got dusted by your mom in the
I got a
parking
broken
lot.
ankle. But yeah, sorry, my 69-year-old mom has wheels. What? I don't know what to tell you, pal.
Yeah, she can scoot. No, that's awesome. I'm thrilled to find out that she play defensive back. Could she play safety?
She could probably play safety. She'd be.
I'll tell you what. She play wide receiver.
She's quick. She's
How's
quick.
her route tree?
She's fast.
Sounds like her footwork is good.
Yeah.
Well, hold on. But does she know where the sideline is? How
No.
is she tracking the deep ball? Anybody can be fast. How's her field awareness?
Doubtful.
Yeah.
I love that I'm just sitting on my knees right here doing the rest of this. This is just the basement.
This is how the show should be done, I think. I think you and I have spent way too much time trying to present like professional backdrops over the years. We've worked way too hard to make it look good. I think a real podcast should have at least like one unfinished basement and frankly like one microphone that just doesn't sound good. We're going to have to kill the audio quality somehow.
Rabbi Moses says, turn in your man card. It's a broken ankle. How am I supposed to sprint on this?
Did you go back to a doctor? Have you been to a doctor since the last time we talked about this?
Maybe. I went once, and they were like, you'll be fine eventually.
You went once the first time, and then we talked about it.
I went one more time.
Okay.
And one more time. And it went pretty well. Let me just turn this back around.
Are you in a boot or something? Like, do you have any protection on this foot at all? Or at least something that shows the nice people of the IKEA parking lot that you're getting cooked?
No, they just thought that I was soft, I think. I might just take this off and just rotate around. I've done something to now where I'm wrapped in like 19 cords.
They're all just around your broken
They're just around
ankle.
Me. I might have to.
You're in a bear trap.
I'm in a bear trap. I'm gonna turn my mic off for a second. We're gonna finish the show with no mic and just
Do you want me to wrap it up? I can do that. We're over 40. Do you have anything else?
What are we doing? Give me 1 second. I'm at least want to show the Christian Okoye. I got a new Christian Okoye thing I want to show off.
Okay, that sounds fun. Okay, so do that. Go ahead and unplug whatever you need to unplug. I do believe that this is how frankly, I'm wrong. This isn't how podcasts were supposed to be. Podcasts, kids, if you're new, podcasts used to be an audio-only experience. And then at some point, we all pivoted to video. And it's like, well, we got to have like the radio, TV setup. And so that's what whoa, I'm hearing myself now through Sterling speakers. That's going to be really tough. Look at that. Tell people what that is, and I'm going to put my camera around too.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, but I can hear myself through your speakers better.
Electric. That's a Christian Okoye. It's called Audition, dog. You know how this works in radio. That is a Christian Okoye signed Chiefs seat. Yeah.
I've got a number 15 over here. It's not signed to anybody, but it is 15. It's very cool. Yeah, this has to be unlistenable, so I need you to either plug in your headphones or mute yourself. Actually, maybe you already did. I think you already did, because I can't hear myself anymore, and I think we're probably okay. Maybe Joanne muted you. Thank you. Really good production work from Joanne. Really bad hosting from Sterling, but I think because he's not on mic, I think I could probably just have the authority to end this show. So thanks for hanging out with us here for Tuesdays with Sterling. Make sure you leave a 5-star review. Say something nice about us in particular. If you don't say something nice with your 5-star review, that's okay also. But if it's not 5 stars, I don't think we acknowledge it as canonical. Sterling cannot find his headphones. So Sterling, you just give me a thumbs up and I'll say the final magic words that ends this podcast. I got the approval from the big man. Thanks for joining us here for Tuesdays with Sterling on Arrowhead Addict. For Sterling Holmes, I'm Josh Briscoe. We are out.